Hey, what's up, everyone? You're watching IGN Live. This is a live streaming broadcast where we're going to show you games as we play them. I'm David Klayman, and I'm joined by Hillary Goldstein.
It's our first time.
Yeah, so be easy on us. Today we're going to take a look at Darksiders. And if you're watching this in the stream, you'll notice below the stream is a chat field where you can send us your questions, your comments, and we'll try to field as many as possible. But we'll get to that a little later. Right now, we're going to hop into the game. And Hill, for someone who has never seen Darksiders before, can you just give me a very broad setup? I know you've been playing it in the office for a long time. Charles Onyette's been playing it in the office for a long time. I personally haven't, so sort of give me the lowdown on what this game's all about.
Yeah, so you play as one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, and basically you start the apocalypse before it's supposed to begin. Mm-hmm. And so basically, because you've done this, you're stripped of all of your power, and then you're charged with going back to Earth 100 years after the apocalypse has happened, so man's been wiped off the face of the Earth, to find out who set you up and exact your revenge.
Okay, so this seems
it's a pretty common tale. Dave.
You know, the usual.
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is every Spielberg movie, isn't it not? This is like E.T.
Well, this tips me off to something a little bit, a slight memory from the past about a game called The Four Horsemen. And I remember seeing a piece of concept art, and then that game disappeared forever. Is this in any way related to that game? And if so, how? A little bit of a loaded question, because I know there is a connection already.
So Joe Madureira, who was a well-known comic book artist, he basically said, I'm giving up comics for a while, and I'm going to start like this game. And he released one piece of concept art, and then the game never actually happened, which happens actually quite often in video games, where just games never get off the ground. Then he, kind of was one of the founders of Vigil Studios, the guys who are making Darksiders, and lo and behold, this happens to be a game about a member of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Now, it's not the same game, but obviously some aspects of it, I'm sure, are living in Darksiders.
Maybe a spiritual successor, or if you were really looking forward to that game many years ago, this is maybe a little bit of redemption. So where we've hopped in, set up this level for me.
Sure thing. So this is like maybe about 4 hours into the game or so, and I would say the game is anywhere from 15 to 20 hours, depending on how much of a completionist you are. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm basically meeting this guy who I need his help on my path to revenge. Mm-hmm. And this is the one part in the game where you actually have an ally during the game. And this guy, throughout this entire level, is going to fight alongside of you. And if you actually notice in the top right corner of the screen, there's a counter. It's got my picture and his picture. And it's just a friendly contest to see who can kill the most angels in this level.
So there's a lot of things
Spoilers, by the way, I'm going to kick his ass.
There's a lot of things to get to when you're looking at a game for the first time. This is not the very first time I've seen it, but I'm kind of pretending it is. I mean, let's start with the combat. It's third person, obviously. That's you playing as the main character. And what does it feel like? I mean, if you can give me a game sort of equates to it loosely.
Yeah, I'd say it definitely has, in terms of the combat, it definitely has a lot of elements of God of War. I mean, as you can just see, it's very violent. It's got some prompts for when you can kind of do kills. Unlike God of War, it's not going to have you do any kind of complex set of attacks. It really is just always going to be, for Xbox, it's going to be the B button or circle for PS3, and that does a unique kill animation for each different enemy type.
Uh-huh. And I think we saw that before. It's when the guy was lying on the ground and you were punching him in the face over and over again.
Yep.
Sort of like a brutal animation, that really good feeling kill attack that you get after you beat someone down.
And this guy, by the way, who just appeared on screen, this is the Watcher. He's your guardian who's kind of bonded to you right now. He's the one who's supposed to look over you and keep you on a leash and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And he's actually voiced by Mark Hamill, same guy who did the voice of the Joker in Batman Arkham Asylum. Mm-hmm. And once again, he's great in this.
Great. So we talked a little bit about the combat, what it feels most like, but I'm also to understand that there are a lot of puzzle elements in this game. While I've been watching you mostly kill things, it seems to be that the team has taken a lot of influence from Zelda.
Yeah, so we'll actually jump to a couple other areas in the game so we can see that a little bit more. But definitely, this is kind of a game that takes pieces from a lot of different games that you've seen and liked. So it's got the combat that's kind of got a little God of War and Devil May Cry to it, and then it's got these puzzle elements that have a very similar feel to Zelda. And then there's actually a sequence in the game that we're not going to show, but I could tell you is you basically play, it's like Panzer Dragoon. You're riding on a horse, and you're basically able to sweep through and shoot a bunch of guys, very Panzer-esque. Mm-hmm. So it just has kind of all these different little, kind of nods to games that we've loved for so long,
right.
Which is great. I mean, that a game could put all those things, in kind of one game and merge them all together.
And I saw you just sort of break through the ice to access a new area. Now, whenever you think Zelda, you think of temples. and you think of closed off puzzle areas. Is that the way the game sort of handles it, or does it sort of relegate you to these one areas that you have to get through to move on?
Yeah, exactly. And so just like Zelda 2, it has things where you'll get new gear and equipment, where you can go back to old areas and then access them again. So I'll actually take a minute after I beat this crap of this guy to show you a little bit of what the weapon screen looks like. So on here right now, I have